For this chapter exam, I will be talking a little bit about neurons, but mostly about reflexes. Sensory neurons conduct sensory impulses from the periphery to the central nervous system. Motor neurons conduct impulses from the central nervous system to muscles. The simplest circuits in the nervous system are reflexes. A reflex is an automatic reaction to a stimulus. A stimulus is something that causes an action. In a simple reflex, a neuron brings information about a stimulus to the brain or spinal cord and connects with a motor neuron. When a receptor is stimulated, it sends a signal to the central nervous system, where the brain coordinates the response. But sometimes a very quick response is needed, one that does not involve involvement of the brain. There are 4 types of reflexes. The first reflex I will describe are simple or complex reflexes. The simple reflexes are spinal reflexes, meiotic reflexes, flexion reflex. A complex reflex is known as the withdrawal reflex and is monosynaptic, meaning only one synapse has to be crossed between the sensory neuron and the motor neuron. It is the simplest reflex arc and the integration center in the synapse itself. Polysynaptic reflexes are more complex and more common. The next reflex is reciprocal inhibition, which is the process of muscles on one side of a joint relaxing to accommodate contraction on the other side of the joint. Joints are controlled by 2 opposing sets of muscles, extensors and flexors, which must work in synchrony for smooth movement. When this occurs, the muscle spindle is activated and causes a reflexive contraction in the agonist muscle, known as the stretch reflex, and relaxation in the antagonist muscle. This process is known as reciprocal inhibition. Reciprocal inhibition is often seen during dynamic stretching. The third reflex is the cross-extensor reflex. The cross-extensor reflex is a withdrawal reflex. When the reflex occurs, the flexors in the withdrawing limb contract and the extensors relax, while in the other limb, the opposite occurs. The last reflex is the conditioned reflex. This reflex is a conditioned stimulus, is a neutral stimulus. The unconditioned stimulus is biological potent, and the unconditioned response to the unconditioned stimulus is an unlearned reflex response.